Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Anita Viano, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about how to keep students engaged when teaching online. Transitioning from a classroom to online video has been quite challenging for everyone involved, and it still is. We teachers have had and continue to make extra efforts to engage students effectively, and students in turn have had uh, and it expectedly continue to make an extra effort to stay engaged in spite of the difficulties and the distractions at home. Therefore, we need to consider more carefully how to increase student engagement during online schooling and how to make online schooling the best possible experience for all students. So there are, if, um, there are some challenges that we inevitably face when teaching online. We often take for granted a lot of the small interactions that happen throughout our teaching, like checking that students have understood, setting up tasks, conducting the tasks, pair work, group work monitoring. Through our interaction with the students or their interaction together, we are able to monitor the level of engagement, and that's harder to do online. However, it's not impossible. Um, Also, in order to keep students engaged through the challenges of distance learning and to avoid exacerbating the previously existing gaps in learning opportunities born of systemic inequities, we need to incorporate three learning mindsets. And those are a sense of belonging, purpose and relevance, and a growth mindset. If we want to design for intrinsic motivation, this is where we need to start. Some of these learning mindsets may sound like a self-help guru bestseller, or you may be familiar with them. Truth is that they are often misunderstood and misapplied. Let's begin with the sense of belonging. Many, many students feel that we don't listen to them. Make them feel heard. Include activities, topics, and examples that students can relate to so they feel that it's fine to be themselves in class each day. For example, encourage them to speak from their own perspective. Co-create class rules and norms with your students. Post them on the first page of each unit on your learning management system, for example, and revisit and renew the norms periodically. Also, reduce the barriers to connecting online. Let students know that there is an easy way to communicate with you outside of the class. You can manage expectations by telling them how quickly you will respond and that they are welcome to do so. For example, you can set up one-to-one phone or video calls with each child on a rotating basis, or offer them the possibility to text you or to call you directly. Also, remind yourself that social time is as important as academic time. Use some of your time for social connection. For example, begin your class time with a social ritual. Try a short mental stretch, break. Offer some monitored hangout time before the class starts, or create small groups that can meet socially asynchronously. Um, let's have a look at connecting work to purpose and relevance. Um, Work hard to articulate purpose. Sometimes we may underestimate the importance of purpose and relevance in building motivation. Deliberately and regularly state the purpose of assignments and activities. Use online surveys to find about student interests. Ask students about their interests, their passions, design activities that target things that they are genuinely relevant to them or interesting to them. It's not always necessary to make the activities academic. We can cut down some of the traditional content in order to forge deeper connections. Also, build connections to real life. Research suggests that student motivation is improved when they take the time to link their learning to the existing interests or to the world around them. When they see the purpose of what they are learning, and give them choice. Adding well-chosen constrained elements of choice in topic or medium are great options to help boost motivation during distance learning. But be careful, because too much choice may create decision fatigue. If they have to choose all the time, they will be bored. For example, you can choose from a selection of 4 essay prompts, or select a leader that meets a set of criteria to study for your project. Produce your work in the form of a podcast, a book, a short video, an art installation. Give choice, but limited choice. And hard work, failure, and a growth mindset. This is very important. Explain how learning works. Begin by talking to the students. Tell them that studying is hard, but it gets easier over time when you begin to use effective strategies. Give them effective study strategies, like, for example, articulating key concepts in their own words, active retrieval, spaced practice over reviewing and highlighting. Build in time to let them practice and refine those strategies, because they need to learn how to use them and they need to practice them. During distance learning, it is especially important to be deliberate about this, because students are learning and working on their own more often, and they need strategies for self-regulation. Also, help them get unstuck. Be concrete about the fact that they will periodically get stuck. So they will need some tactics, some strategies to overcome the situation. Create a class climate where they feel comfortable asking peers for help. You can also consider setting up study groups to facilitate better communication. Give them easy ways to contact you during work hours when they are stuck. Create a useful, easily accessed list of class resources in your learning platform. Also, use technology to create a low-stakes environment. Create quizzes or use tech tools like Pear Deck, Quizlet Live, Poll Everywhere to support formative assessment. Reposition these quizzes as part of continuous learning, and help your students see them as useful tools to get a sense of where they are, how well their study strategies are working, and what they need to do next, which is part of assessment for learning. Build time for getting things wrong and learning from those mistakes in the classroom. Change your grading system and structures. Even if summative assessments are beyond your control, consider adjusting your grading by awarding points and grades based on student work related to continuous improvement. This not only helps struggling learners, but also pushes the top achievers to show that they are putting in the effort that is necessary to demonstrate clear improvement in their skill levels. Be ready to adjust your teaching, because it's hard to read the room and determine what your students know in a virtual classroom. Use your formative assessment to continually adjust your own teaching. You can also create a digital record of competence. That is, motivation can increase when the students notice their growing competence. So it's a good idea to create short activities that promote this. For example, bringing back a piece of older work and do a then and now comparison, creating simple online portfolios that can be regularly updated and visited. So be sure that students link their competence to hard work and the right learning and study strategies. Now, if you will allow me, I would like to share with you some uh, tips and ideas. I'd say that my top tip is explain, demonstrate, and check. And only after that, explaining, demonstrating, and checking, are your students ready to do the activity. So you need to give your instructions verbally and also display them on the screen. Sometimes a student who has hearing difficulties would also need a visual support. Sometimes there is a technical problem and the student might be able to hear you even if they temporarily cannot see the slides. So if possible, demonstrate the activity so that they have a better idea of how to do it and you don't waste activity time. Then check the students have understood and now they are ready to go. One of the challenges of distance learning is that you can no longer tackle misconceptions collectively. Therefore, simplicity is key. It is critical to design distance learning experiences that have clear instructions and use just one or two resources. It's also best, whenever possible, to provide resources like readings as PDFs, for example, that students can always access. You can also use your chat box. You can use this for brainstorming, for races, for students to type an answer or an idea. We can have our students write the instructions for the task in the chat box so we know that they have understood. We can use it to provide feedback as students are speaking and we are not interrupting them in that way. And we can decide if that feedback goes to an individual student or to the class as a whole, because we can use the public and private messaging, very much like what we do when we are, as teachers, attending a webinar and we use the chat to make comments or to give answers to the presenter. You can use it in the same way in your classes. We can get students sending us ideas privately, read them out, and have the rest of the class guess who said what and why. And we can also download everything that is written in the chat box and provide it to our students with a task or revisit it in further lessons. You can also use breakout rooms. You can put pairs or small groups of students in different virtual groups. And in this way, you allow for pair work and group work. And you can pop in and out of the rooms to monitor. You can use them for discussion in speaking tasks, where students have to come to an agreement, for situational dialogues, for students to do group research online. So before coming back together and presenting what they have found, they contribute to the group work, and this contributes also to keeping up relationships. Here, this is an example from my colleague Harry Waters, in which groups of students need to go away and research key information on the music artist in those breakout rooms. And then they post their findings on a Padlet. And here's another idea. Using Padlets, use collaborative tools. Padlets is one. Then you can use also a Jamboard. They can be used for brainstorming, sharing links, pictures, videos, audios, projects in general. I find Padlet a very, very useful tool. Here is an example of students recording their voices in answer to a question. And their task is to listen to their classmate responses and find a similarity they shared with someone. You can also use a Zoom whiteboard. This is an activity by Michael Brand, colleague Michael Brand. Make sure that the students are getting plenty of protagonism using the drawing tools on your platform. Zoom, I have noticed that Zoom has included also a new whiteboard. So you can divide the Zoom whiteboard into squares, one for each student, and do an activity. Here in this example by Michael Brand, he's revisiting vocabulary on technology. And he told the students that there is a technological gadget which can be found in the picture. In this case, the selfie stick, yes? So it's a race between the students to circle that item. So Zoom allows you to annotate, to see who is annotating, and you can turn this function on and off. So everyone can see who got there first. Now, to round up, there are some very simple, straightforward ways to ensure that online learning gets better. Build a personal connection with your students. Consider conducting a student survey, for example. Then share the results with your students. And you can insert your own responses to the questions. An anonymous survey can provide many insights into the students' current circumstances, their assessment of how the previous academic year or semester went, and it can also help you understand their motivation, their expectations for the new semester. And also, it will give you some idea of the kind of support they find helpful. Also, motivate your students. As I said, this is key to effective learning, and perhaps the single most important contributor to motivation is the course perceived relevance. Help your students understand how the course will help them acquire particular skills and how it will address issues that they may find particularly interesting. Help them maintain focus. A main contributor to student failure in online classes is an inability to focus. So without the structure of a traditional school day, many students find it difficult to concentrate, prioritize, organize time, and stay on track. So it's essential to provide them with the structure that they need. Make sure each class session is purposeful. Share the learning intentions and success criteria for the unit or for the lessons you're going to cover, your expectations for them, remind them of activities, assignments, assessments, due dates. Organize each class around shorter sequences and activities. You can use polls, breakout rooms, questions. Interrupt the class frequently to pose questions or solicit questions from the students. Create a sense of community. Help them get to know one another. Split a large class into smaller units. And within the smaller breakout rooms, have the students participate in icebreaker activities. The breakout sessions also provide opportunities for students to share their opinions, their knowledge, and their experience. Try to be available before and after synchronous class lessons. Students are far more likely to reach out to you if you are easy to reach. Stay online a little bit after the live session ends. Yes, solicit questions and comments and other forms of feedback. Make discussions meaningful. Make sure that discussions genuinely contribute to students' learning. You can do so in brainstorming sessions where students present a variety of ways of approaching a problem. Comprehension exercises where they help one another understand a complex topic. Critiques where they challenge a particular argument or an interpretation. Share activities where students reveal their own experiences or perceptions. So in this way, everything becomes more meaningful for them. And of course, it will increase their engagement. Also, check on their comprehension, conduct polls, give them opportunities to actively participate during the session. And Provide active learning opportunities. For example, have students research the answer to a question, have them analyze a case study or a text, a document, a video clip. Set up projects so that students might contribute, for example, to a class blog, creating podcasts, video stories, posters, infographic. Um, Address equity issues. Not all students have equal access to technology or to reliable high-speed internet connections, or to a a distraction-free study place. So be mindful of the challenges that students face, recognizing that they may vary significantly in their comfort level with online learning. Identify and support struggling students. You can monitor their engagement, conduct check-ins and checkups, reach out proactively, send alerts whenever there are signs that a student is failing behind. Now, empathy has rarely been as important as it is today. Encourage the students, provide them with scaffolding like rubrics, checklists, sample responses to test questions, offer flexibility on deadlines and opportunities to redo assignments, and provide prompt feedback. I'd like to share with you some resources that you might find useful. And thank you very much for watching this video. Follow me on Facebook and for more videos of this kind and perhaps longer sessions. And you can also follow me on LinkedIn and in my blog, anyteachertrainer.wordpress.com. So it's bye for now. Bye.